One of the most important tools that you can have as an individual who are looking to succeed in a major level is your mindset. Through trial and tribulation, through ups and downs, through overcoming any kind of adversities, whether it's having your heart broken, going broke, being in a weak physical condition, having poor health, whatever the case may be, I've gone through my own share of pain. And I, in fact, think that those pains that you go through and all of that suffering is necessary to be able to mold your character into the individual that can accrue a massive level of success. When I first started in real estate, I didn't know anybody. I was broke. I didn't know what I was doing. And the first thing that I did was, you know what? It's either get rich or die trying. That was my mindset. It didn't matter what obstacles were going to be placed in front of me. It wasn't about, oh, well, how am I going to be able to achieve this? How am I going to make this happen? How am I going to make that happen? It was more about understanding that if somebody else made it happen before me, I could also make it happen. It was more about understanding, well, even if somebody else didn't make it happen before, I believe he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. So with that philosophy applied to my life, I believe I can make it happen. I believe that no matter what happens in life, if I'm determined enough and I'm capable of persevering through all the obstacles that get placed in front of me, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to be able to make it. My mindset is having that resilience to be capable of pursuing these massive goals. And I think that the main discrepancy between people who can't achieve the things that they want and the people who can is simply that they believe in themselves. The people who can make things happen, is not that they have some crazy edge over you. It's not that they were born with these superpowers. It's not that they're any different from yourself or myself. It's that they're willing to believe that no matter what happens, no matter what adversity, no matter what obstacle, no matter what challenge, they're willing to step into the eye of the storm and figure it out, right? I remember when I was putting my first deal in real estate together, we bought that property for 150 grand, sold it for 250, right? Didn't make a lot of money because obviously when you incur all the costs and construction and whatnot, we really didn't walk away with a lot of money. However, through the lessons that we learned, through the relationships that we built, right? We had a $20,000 expense that we didn't even account for that we learned about, right? But I'm mentioning this deal to say that I know many people that have wanted to get into real estate or any kind of business that are still on the fence and are still in the same position because they were afraid of taking that step forward. They were stuck in that analysis paralysis. What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And the path is never going to be 100% clear. And another thing that you have to understand is that the map is not the territory. You may have all the information in front of you. You may have exactly the exact blueprint that you need to be capable of walking in there. And guess what? Most people still won't do it because they're afraid of what the territory is going to bring. Because sometimes you may have that map, and in that map, there's a doorway, but you didn't know that once you stumbled across that door, that you had to figure out how to get that door open. You had to figure out how to say the proper code or how to unlock that door one way or another to be capable of moving forward. And that's what I mean by the map is not the territory. However, you have to be brave enough to be capable of stepping into that situation and be willing to figure it out. You see, I think that that's the main difference between guys like myself and people that are just still in the fence wondering if they have what it takes to make it. Nobody knows how it's going to happen. When you just start something, all you have is the belief in yourself that you're going to be able to make it happen or not. That's it. That's all you have. And you have to be capable of looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself, what do you have to lose? For me, what did I have to lose? I was just some kid who used to hustle on the streets, didn't really have anything crazy. I had a regular 9-to-5 job. Well, it was a 7-to-3, but it was the same concept, right? I was receiving money every single bi-weekly, right? So every single month I would get a nice paycheck, but that was really it. I just had an income just like anybody else, but I didn't have a business. And I wanted to have a business. I didn't want to be capped at my hourly rate because I knew that I could do more than that. And that's why I got into sales, right? And I remember going into the office every day at 7 a.m., Monday through Friday, right, to do these role play calls where we would all practice with each other before getting on the phones and go over, scripts, objections, things of that nature. And I remember people would come in to practice for a whole hour. And when it was time to make the calls at 8 o'clock sharp, they would just sit around and wait and listen to everybody else's calls, wait for them to make a call, ask them all these questions, and they never once made one call. And that had to do with a variety of different things, right? Fear of rejection, not liking how they sound, not thinking that they're ready to have that conversation with that potential seller. What if they ask me this? Do I really have all the tools to be able to figure it out? That's the average person. That's the kind of person that has an average life that is just maybe making just enough to get by. That's the kind of person that is always complaining about the bills. That's the kind of person that isn't capable of doing the things that he wants to do for his family. That's the kind of person that isn't able to live the lifestyle that he wants because he's afraid of doing the things that require him to go out there and try, right? As opposed to somebody like me, it was my first day. I still remember to this day. It was my first day, did the role play practice, and as soon as it hit 8, I got on the phones. Was I any good? Fuck no. It was my first time ever getting on the phones. I didn't even have the full script memorized. There was objections that were coming my way I didn't know how to handle. But you know what? I still was able to get on the phones and figure it out. And little by little, 6 months of experience, hammering the phones, learning the scripts, learning the objections, doing all the things that I had to do to improve my skill set, to improve my knowledge, and to be more confident. 6 months in, and that's what it took. Many people, they didn't even start. And the people that did, quit. So it really comes down to those few individuals that are willing to go out there, consistently fail, to be capable of finding some success later on. And then everybody else is going to say it was an overnight success, right? For me, it took 6 to 8 months to get that first deal. And then after that, it just kept snowballing. Why? Because it wasn't 6 to 8 months that were wasted. And that's what people think. Oh, well, you didn't get paid those 6 to 8 months, so you wasted a lot of time. I don't think I could do that. Wrong. There's a lot of internal growth that you experience within those first 6 to 8 months. And you know what the biggest delay is for people to achieve the kind of success that they want to achieve? Whatever that is, 100,000 a year, 100,000 a month, $1 million a month, whatever the case is that they get to that point when it's time to perform, and then they stop, and then they shy away, and then they find an excuse as to why they shouldn't do it. As opposed to somebody like myself, I'm going to challenge myself. I welcome the critique. I welcome the failures. I welcome the challenges and the obstacles that are to come my way. Because guess what? If I'm not capable of getting through them today, I know that I'm resilient enough to continue to show up, continue to perform, and eventually be able to surpass to the next level, right? So it's with having that mindset and being fearless of what those obstacles are that are going to help you, guide you towards victory. It's not necessarily the map. It's not necessarily the plan. Yeah, you can have the map. Yeah, you can have the plan. And in fact, I think you should. Yeah, you can have the script. However, when it's time to fucking play the game, play the game. When it's time to show up and make the calls, show up and make the calls. When it's time to show up and go to the gym, show up and go to the gym. Procrastination is one of the biggest killers of success. And so many people are allowing themselves to be distracted, to do all the things that they find easy, and to do all the things that they maybe feel good at doing to distract them away from all the things that need to get done. And it's not about your feelings. It's not about what feels comfortable to you. It's not about what feels easy to you. It's about doing the things that are uncomfortable over and over and over again until they become comfortable. And then guess what? Now you have to go to the next level. And that's another thing. So many people get complacent once they get to a little bit of success, where then they end up losing it all, or they end up living the same life with the same problems. And to me, that's just fucking boring. If you're anything like me, it's always about getting to that next level. Never satisfied. Always going after it. Always improving. Always building your character. That's why we're alive, right? We have this life force and this energy within us to be capable of creating something, to utilize it towards something that we can build, challenging ourselves, becoming better, whether it's a better communicator, being more resourceful, physically in shape, healthier, having a better mindset or a stronger mindset to be capable of tackling bigger obstacles, whatever the case may be. And the biggest cheat code to be capable of achieving that mindset is not to sit around and wait for it to just magically come to you. It's about going out there and doing what you need to do, doing the things that scare you, right? That's where I found most of my fucking success. It's about doing the things that have put me in a position where it's left a little bit of an unsettling feeling, right? And that's how I know I'm in the right place. When things happen and shit hits the fan, now it's about how you're going to respond. And that's the difference. Certain people respond in a way where they crawl up into a corner and they cry and they want the attention of others by asking for sympathy indirectly or wanting to gain the attention and the validation through sorrow and all the other negative feelings and negative emotions. Or you're the kind of individual that is a winner and says, you know what? I don't want the validation. I don't want the excess attention. I don't want the praise or oh, you could have done better. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. What I want and what I'm looking for is to become better every single day, because I know if I do that, no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to improve my situation. You are not your situation. Your situation is outside of you. The situation that you are experiencing every single day is made up of the habits that you apply every single day. So if you don't like your situation, if you don't like how your life looks right now, it's very fucking simple. Improve your habits. Change your routine. Do the things that are a little bit different, that scare you a little bit. Because it's usually those things, and that's the place where you have to be capable of growing into a bigger person, right? To be capable of accruing the experiences that's going to give you the wisdom and knowledge to be able to handle the next level. Because that's the deciding factor of you ascending to higher ranks. So for you as an individual, what do you have to do to test yourself to get to that next level? What scares you? What is that thing that you've been holding off on because you've just been delaying it, because you've just been procrastinating and you don't know why? Well, the reason why is because you're scared. The reason why is because you're afraid of maybe you do get to that next level. Then what? Then you have to start all over? Yeah, that's what it requires. But guess what? Even if you have to start all over, I'd rather be at level 3 out of 10 going into level 4, right? Than a level 1 out of 10 and being all confident about level 1, but there's level 2, there's level 3, there's level 4. I want to get to as high as possible in the ladder, right? So with that comes trials and tribulation. With that comes handling objections, overcoming obstacles, being able to get tried and tested in the field, out into the world, being able to get embarrassed, be judged, go through the things that feel uneasy. I smile at those things all the time. Why? Because I know that when those things are happening, growth is right around the corner. When I get the cue that this is something that is different and it's going to require either more energy from me, or is going to require more knowledge from me, or is going to require more effort from me, whatever the case may be, I get excited about it, right? When I enter those uncharted territories, I get excited about it. Why? Because that is an indication that that is exactly where I need to be capable of getting to that next level. And that's why I have the things that I have today, and that's why I'm going to continue to have the things that I'm going to have tomorrow. Because this is my attitude, this is my spirit, this is my mindset, right? No matter what I've gone through, I've always been able to overcome it because of my response. My response has never been to lay down and just stay down. My response has always been, all right, this is what we're dealing with. Let's fight it forward with my chin held high and my chest up. That's how we're going to handle it. Whatever comes my way, I'm going to be able to handle it, right? And sometimes it requires me to sketch it out and see how we're going to be able to overcome this and then apply the plan. Sometimes it just requires me to walk in there and say, what's up? What's going on? What do we got to handle? Right? But the one thing I know that has never worked for anybody, not myself, not you, not anybody else, is to not do anything about it. You know, I have a saying that goes like this: handle your problems or your problems will handle you. You have a lot of unresolved issues in your life. We all do. And life's work is about overcoming those issues by becoming better, by becoming stronger, by becoming wiser, more knowledgeable. And the only way to get there is not by distracting yourself with drugs, is not by distracting yourself with parties, is not by distracting yourself with things that don't necessarily correlate to that next level. Because when you break it down, yeah, this may make you feel emotionally better, but is it really going to solve your problem, or is it just a Band-Aid solution for the meantime? Usually it's just a Band-Aid solution for the meantime. However, the things that are actually going to solve your problem, it's going to take time. And you're going to have to be able to persevere that time where you feel a little bit unsettled, where you feel a little bit uncomfortable, where you feel like the world is against you, where you feel like you have nowhere to go, right? Don't fall into the temptation of trying to seek validation for your problems, right? Of trying to seek attention and people to feel bad for you for your problems. Never turn that to that way. Instead, be the individual that understands, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, and day by day, we're going to get it right. Day by day, we're becoming better. Every single day, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my work. That's the way that I've been able to improve in boxing. That's the way that I've been able to improve at the gym when I'm lifting weights. That's the way that I've been able to improve with my sales. That's the way that I've been able to improve with my real estate. That's the way that I've been able to improve with everything in my life, right? So if you suck at something and you know you suck at something, good. That's the fucking start. Now, what are you going to do about it? What's the first step for you? Have you been sloppy with your morning routine? Have you been sloppy with your night routine? Have you been sloppy throughout the day? What are you doing on the day-to-day? What are your habits like? Morning, afternoon, or evening, it doesn't fucking matter. Because a lot of the times when we're capable of looking at our daily patterns and what it is that we're doing consecutively, we're able to identify the problem. And now it's a matter of what habit are you going to switch out that's going to be capable of giving you a better ROI and is going to get you closer to that goal. Because ultimately, that's what it's about. And then don't waste any fucking time. If you have certain people around you that are not necessarily benefiting you and assisting you on that climb, they got to go. Or at least their time has to be limited with you, right? Okay, cool. You have those friends you spend some time with and you have a good laugh and you catch up and whatnot, great. But don't do that every day. That shouldn't be what you're looking forward to. What you're looking forward to is getting to that next level, putting yourself in a better position, putting your family in a better position. It is actually dramatically irresponsible not to think this way, especially as a man. That's what you're born to do, to progress. Nothing other than that, to me, sounds satisfying, right? Or fulfilling. Nothing. The only thing that actually inspires me is knowing that there's a next level and there's work for me to do to get there, right? And then going after it every single day until I get there. And that's it. Don't worry about the symptoms of the feelings that you're experiencing now based on where you are. Focus on the work and the path that is necessary to follow to get to where you want to go.